Growing older is inevitable, but how well we age can vary dramatically. Today, we're exploring 9 scientifically backed indicators that researchers have linked to longevity beyond age 70. These aren't just opinions. They're based on decades of research following thousands of older adults. Let's dive in. Sign. 1. Your walking speed. How quickly you walk might be one of the strongest predictors of how long you'll live. Multiple studies have shown that gait speed is a powerful indicator of health and longevity. A landmark study published in JAMA found that older adults who walk at least 3 feet per second, about 2 miles per hour, tend to live significantly longer than slower walkers. In fact, for every 0.1 meter per second increase in walking speed, there was approximately a 12% decrease in mortality risk. Why does this matter? Walking speed integrates multiple body systems. Your muscles, nerves, heart, lungs, and balance all working together. It's essentially a quick snapshot of your overall physical function. Walking speed is so revealing that some researchers have called it the 6th vital sign. A study from the University of Pittsburgh that followed older adults for over 8 years found that those who maintained a steady, brisk pace were up to 40% less likely to develop dementia and cardiovascular disease compared to slower walkers. Additionally, researchers have discovered that walking speed tends to remain fairly steady until about 5 years before the end of life, when it begins to notably decline. This suggests that maintaining your ability to walk at a good pace is not just a predictor of longevity but potentially an intervention target for improving health. What's fascinating is that even small improvements can make a big difference. Several intervention programs have shown that older adults can increase their walking speed through targeted strength and balance exercises, potentially modifying their future health trajectory. Sign number 2. Your grip strength. The strength in your hands reveals more than you might think. Grip strength has been consistently linked to longevity in numerous studies. Research from the Prospective Urban-Rural Epidemiology (PURE) OAG study following over 140,000 adults found that for every 5 kilogram decrease in grip strength, there was a 16% increase in all-cause mortality. This simple measurement reflects your overall muscle strength, nutritional status, and nerve function. Interestingly, grip strength has proven to be a better predictor of survival than blood pressure. Grip strength is particularly revealing because it represents a measure of sarcopenia, the age-related loss of muscle mass and function. As we age, we typically lose between 1 to 2% of our muscle mass each year after 50, and this loss accelerates after 70. Maintaining muscle strength, especially in the hands, indicates that your body is resisting this degenerative process. A massive study published in the British Medical Journal analyzed data from over 500,000 people and found that grip strength was a more accurate predictor of cardiovascular disease than systolic blood pressure, a traditional risk factor. For every 5 kilo reduction in grip strength, researchers observed a 17% increase in risk of death from heart disease and a 9% increase in risk of stroke. The good news is that it's never too late to work on your strength. Intervention studies have shown that even people in their 90s can significantly increase their muscle strength and improve their functionality through appropriate resistance training programs. Sign. 3. Your social connections. The strength of your social ties might be as important as physical strength. Numerous studies have shown that people with stronger social connections live longer. A meta-analysis published in PLOS Medicine analyzed 148 studies and found that people with stronger social relationships had a 50% increased likelihood of survival compared to those with weaker social ties. This effect was comparable to quitting smoking. Regular, meaningful interactions, whether with family, friends, or community groups, appear to provide both psychological benefits and practical support that contribute to longer life. This phenomenon has a fascinating biological basis. Strong social connections are associated with lower levels of inflammation, better immune function, and reduced stress responses, all critical factors for long-term health. Researchers have identified that socially connected people have lower levels of C-reactive protein, an inflammatory marker associated with heart disease and other chronic conditions. The celebrated Harvard Adult Development Study, which has followed participants for over 80 years, found that good relationships protect our brains. People who were most satisfied with their relationships at age 50 were less likely to develop dementia decades later. But it's not just the quantity of connections that matters, it's the quality. A study of older adults published in the Journal of Health and Social Behavior found that those who reported satisfying social relationships had a 23% lower risk of premature death, regardless of the total number of social contacts. What makes this indicator so powerful is that social connections are highly modifiable. Joining community groups, scheduling regular interactions with friends and family, or even adopting a pet can strengthen your social network and potentially extend your life. Sign 4. Your ability to rise from a chair. The simple act of standing up from a seated position without using your hands is a powerful predictor of mortality risk. This is called the sit-to-rise test. Researchers found that people who needed to use their hands or knees for support to get up from a sitting position on the floor had a higher risk of mortality over the next 6 years. Each point lost on this simple test was associated with a 21% higher risk of death. This test evaluates your lower body strength, balance, and coordination, all critical factors in maintaining independence and preventing falls as you age. The details of this study are fascinating. Brazilian researcher Claudio Gil Araujo developed a sit-to-rise test that scores participants on a scale of 10 points. Starting with a perfect score of 10, 1 point is subtracted each time a person uses a hand, knee, forearm, or side of the leg for support, and half a point for loss of balance. His results, published in the European Journal of Cardiology, revealed that those who scored fewer than 8 points were twice as likely to die within the next 6 years compared to those who scored higher. More striking still, those who scored 3 or less were 5 times more likely to die in the same period. Why does this simple task predict longevity so effectively? This test integrates multiple aspects of physical health: muscle strength in the legs and core, flexibility, balance, and coordination. These are precisely the capabilities that allow older adults to maintain their independence and avoid catastrophic falls, which often trigger a rapid decline in health. The best thing about this test is that it acts as both a predictor and an intervention target. Studies have shown that regularly practicing the act of sitting and rising, along with complementary strength and balance exercises, can significantly improve your score and potentially reduce mortality risk. Scene 5. Your sense of purpose. Having a reason to get up in the morning matters more than you might think. Studies have consistently shown that a strong sense of purpose is linked to longer life. Research from the Rush Memory and Aging Project found that people with high purpose in life were about 2.4 times more likely to remain free of Alzheimer's disease than those with low purpose. They also had a 30% lower rate of cognitive decline. Purpose provides psychological resilience, reduces stress, and often motivates healthier behaviors, all contributing to longevity. The impact of purpose in life extends beyond mental health. Studies have found direct biological connections between having a sense of purpose and health biomarkers. An analysis published in Health Psychology found that people with greater purpose in life had lower levels of inflammatory proteins such as interleukin-6, a marker associated with multiple chronic diseases. Research from the University of Michigan followed nearly 7,0 adults over 50 for a 4-year period and discovered that those who reported a greater sense of purpose were 40% less likely to develop disabilities in their daily activities and 52% less likely to suffer a stroke. What makes sense of purpose such a fascinating factor is that it can manifest in many ways. For some people, it comes through continued work or volunteering. For others, it might be through family relationships, creative pursuits, spiritual practices, or learning new skills. The key is having something that gives your life direction and meaning. Importantly, purpose can be cultivated at any age. Intervention studies have shown that activities like life review, goal-setting exercises, and engagement in meaningful volunteer work can significantly increase one's sense of purpose, potentially offering a pathway to extended longevity. Sign 6. Your lung function. How well you can fill and empty your lungs is a surprisingly strong predictor of longevity. Lung function tests measure how much air you can exhale and how quickly. A study in the British Medical Journal following over 5,000 middle-aged men for 29 years found that poor lung function was second only to smoking as a predictor of all-cause mortality. Declining lung function can indicate not just lung disease but overall frailty and reduced physiological reserve. The good news: regular physical activity can help maintain lung function as you age. Lung function is measured through tests like forced vital capacity, FVC, and forced expiratory volume in 1 second, FEV1. These measurements don't just reflect the health of your respiratory system. They provide insights into your overall vitality and physiological age. The Framingham Heart Study, which has followed multiple generations since 1948, found that FEV1 was significantly associated with longevity, independent of age, smoking status, and other risk factors. Specifically, those in the lowest quartile of lung function had nearly 3 times the risk of premature death compared to those in the highest quartile. What makes lung function particularly valuable as a longevity predictor is that it reflects both lifestyle factors and intrinsic aging processes. Poor lung function might result from smoking, environmental exposures, lack of physical activity, or underlying disease processes. It also reflects the natural stiffening of the chest wall and weakening of respiratory muscles that occurs with age. Although lung function naturally declines with age, there are ways to optimize and preserve it. Regular aerobic exercise, respiratory muscle training, good posture, and breathing exercises have all been shown to help maintain lung capacity. For smokers, quitting at any age can slow the rate of decline and add years to life. Sign in. 7. Your optimism. Your outlook on life doesn't just affect your mood. It may actually extend your life. Multiple studies have linked optimism to greater longevity. Research from the Veterans Affairs Normative Aging Study found that optimistic men had a 55% lower risk of death from all causes and a 23% lower risk of cardiovascular death compared to pessimistic men. Optimistic people tend to cope better with stress, maintain healthier lifestyles, and recover more quickly from illness, all factors that contribute to longer life. The biological mechanisms behind optimism's benefits are becoming clearer. A study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences found that optimistic women had significantly longer telomeres, the protective caps on chromosomes that are considered a marker of cellular aging. Longer telomeres are associated with longevity and slower biological aging. Another large-scale study from the Women's Health Initiative followed more than 97 EXO women for 8 years and found that the most optimistic women had a 30% lower risk of heart disease and a 14% lower risk of death from any cause compared to the least optimistic women. What's particularly encouraging about optimism as a longevity factor is that it can be cultivated. Psychological interventions such as cognitive behavioral therapy, gratitude practices, and mindfulness meditation have been shown to increase optimism levels. Even simple exercises like the Best Possible Self activity, where you spend time writing and thinking about an ideal future, have demonstrated effectiveness in boosting optimism. It's worth noting that optimism doesn't mean ignoring problems or maintaining unrealistic expectations. Rather, it involves approaching challenges with the belief that positive outcomes are possible and that your actions can make a difference. A perspective that appears to have powerful effects on both quality and length of life. Sign. 8. Your reaction time. How quickly you respond to stimuli reveals a lot about your brain health. Multiple studies have found that slower reaction times are associated with an increased risk of premature death. A study published in PLOS One, following over 5,000 adults for 15 years, found that a standard deviation slower reaction time was associated with a 25% increase in the risk of death from all causes. Reaction time integrates processing speed, nervous system function, and overall brain health, making it a window into your neurological well-being. What makes reaction time particularly interesting as a longevity predictor is that it's not simply a measure of how quickly your muscles respond. Rather, it primarily reflects central nervous system processing speed and neural efficiency. Essentially, how quickly your brain can take in information, make decisions, and initiate responses. The UK Biobank study, which measured reaction time in nearly 500,000 people, found that those with slower reaction times had higher all-cause mortality rates even after controlling for age, sex, and socioeconomic status. Each standard deviation increase in reaction time was associated with a 17% higher risk of death. Researchers believe reaction time is such a powerful predictor because it captures subtle changes in neurological function that may precede diagnosable conditions. Slowing reaction times might indicate early neurodegenerative processes, cerebrovascular changes, or metabolic disturbances that affect brain health. The encouraging news is that reaction time is somewhat modifiable. Studies have shown that physical exercise, particularly activities requiring quick responses like table tennis or dancing, can improve reaction time even in older adults. Cognitive training programs specifically targeted at processing speed have also demonstrated effectiveness in shortening reaction times. While some slowing of reaction time is a normal part of aging, maintaining your neurological speed as much as possible appears to be an important component of healthy longevity. Sign number 9. Your self-rated health. Perhaps, surprisingly, how you rate your own health is one of the strongest predictors of how long you'll live. This holds true even when controlling for objective health measures. A meta-analysis in PLOS One, examining 122 studies, found that people who rated their health as poor had a twofold higher risk of mortality compared to those who rated their health as excellent. This suggests that people have an intuitive sense of their health status that captures subtle factors medical tests might miss. It's a holistic assessment integrating physical, mental, and social dimensions of health. The power of self-rated health as a predictor was demonstrated in a landmark study published in JAMA, which followed over 4,700 adults for up to 23 years. Those who rated their health as poor had a mortality risk more than twice as high as those who rated their health as excellent, even after adjusting for objective health measures, socioeconomic status, and health behaviors. What makes self-rated health so predictive? Researchers believe it's because this simple question captures multiple dimensions that are difficult to measure objectively. When you rate your health, you're implicitly accounting for your energy levels, pain, emotional state, functional abilities, and even subtle symptoms that might not register on medical tests. You're also incorporating your own health trajectory, whether you feel you're improving or declining, and comparing yourself to peers of similar age. These nuanced perceptions appear to capture valuable information about physiological resilience and reserve capacity. Interestingly, cultural and psychological factors influence how people rate their health. Some cultures tend toward more positive or negative self-assessments, and personality traits like neuroticism can lead some individuals to rate their health more negatively. However, even accounting for these factors, the predictive power of self-rated health remains robust across populations. The good news is that self-rated health isn't fixed. Lifestyle improvements, better management of chronic conditions, and enhanced psychological well-being can all improve how people perceive their health, potentially modifying their longevity trajectory.